all right. Hey everyone. I feel like I'm like really, which way do I have to go here? I gotta go this way? That doesn't make any sense. Let's fix this. I feel like I'm really, refocus. There we go. I feel like I was really off to one side for some reason. I don't know if I hit that or not. Anyway, welcome back. It has been, a couple weeks. October was nuts. We did some family travel, and then I think I was sick in there somewhere, as always with children. And then I was trying to work on these side projects, and just, they're close. They're so close. It's like that last 10% that you just can't like get it done, right? It's very close. Anyway. And the other week I did a Laravel Worldwide meetup, actually on Blueprint. So I didn't feel like streaming. I think that was a Tuesday, and I didn't feel like streaming the following day. So anyway, I'm back. It's November. I'm going to try to get a nice clean slate through November. Now, of course, probably don't expect too much viewership today. I know Laracon AU is going on. I know that's stealing a lot of eyeballs. Very, very exciting stuff that's going to be discussed there. So pretty cool. Anyway, I want to get back to try to get, speaking of side projects, I've got a lot of random things playing out. So I want to get back to kind of getting some of all these things I've been working on, streaming, side projects, whatever. Again, getting things across the finish line. So let's pick up where we left off with Livewire, because I've done nothing to it since that last stream, part 1 or part 2. I don't know what part I'm on. This might be part 3. I don't know. Anyway, you can let me know in the chat. I just came in, I ran the tests, and here's where we are. It's outputting this. This relates to another little side thing I was working on. Mockery. This exception's terrible. It's like, okay, test data didn't work, method expected this. Okay, so anyway, I have to output, I have to dump what it actually generated instead of that nice PHP diff that's like, oh, plus a couple line breaks, right here. Everything else, good, but hey, line breaks are off. So that's what the problem is. There's some line breaks here. The line breaks are here because we're not doing any properties with this, but we left a placeholder for properties. So let's clean that up. Let me try to figure out like the best way to do that. I'm trying to think of what else has properties. I think if we look at like the model stub, I think there's a model stub, model class stub. See, we just have this use has factory, and that creates kind of our placeholder. I'm curious what other like class.stub things we have. See, here we have methods. I'm just kind of looking to see, okay, we have body here. I'm trying to get an idea of like what other things we can do. Are there other classes in here? Pest test class, body, we just call it. Policy class, methods. Anyway, if we go into our Livewire class, our component class, in this case, I have properties and methods. I don't think that's actually going to work out, because you may not always have properties and hence get these extra line breaks. So I think what instead I'm going to do here is actually just do kind of what is in other things. I'm going to do body here so I don't get that extra stuff. That's going to handle those line breaks. Again, I want to give you code that, is Laravel-esque. It doesn't have like crazy line breaks or whatever. Of course you can apply your own code style if you want, but out of the box, like it shouldn't have all these extra line breaks and weird indentation. I mean, it should, again, look like what Laravel would generate for you, and Laravel would not generate weird code, weirdly formatted code like that. So if we go to our component generator, somewhere in here, I think we have methods. Yeah. Probably like that. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so right now we're just replacing whatever that is with the line. I think what we probably need to do, we're not even honoring properties right now. What I think we should do is, for now, just simply change this to body, and I think this will probably pass. That's my guess. Let's see. Great. Okay. It passes. Cool. We're going to leave that alone for now because we need a test to drive out actually putting in properties and mount and all that stuff, because none of that has been built yet. So let's do that next. Let's get into our component generator test. I think we have one. So the goal here is to basically get this test class passing. If we can get all this passing again, then I think this is a good kind of like V1 for the Livewire component stuff. There's probably more Livewire specific things we can do and generate, but I'm okay with launching or tagging the ability to just kind of do it this way. Or kind of do these basic things. Like having some component generation with limitations is better than no component generation, in my opinion. So let's keep going here. Something else I just kind of randomly thought of is like the registration of routes. Like, do we do that right away? I don't know. Some people like to have their component rendered directly, not necessarily as a part of the page through a controller, so to speak. So yeah, I kind of just have to figure out what's most common there. So all those types of things, again, I think can come afterward. So we don't have a Livewire component with properties here. Let's go take a look at this Livewire simple YAML. Do I have something in here that we kind of already wrote? No, we got nothing. We got nothing. I honestly don't remember what kind of the initial syntax idea was for that. That's funny. Okay, well anyway, let's copy this and do Livewire with properties, I guess. It's kind of like Livewire with mount. I kind of forgot what we said we were going to do here, to be honest. I think we said something like you would just say mount and you're going to mount some stuff, right? You would mount like post, you know. So simple component, we would mount like post and let's just mount something else, right? Not necessarily user. You mount a specific post and maybe you mount like a specific comment. I don't know. I'm just kind of coming up with stuff here. It really doesn't matter. The point is these two have that. Let's just make this like some kind of like author component. Cool. All right. I don't really care about this action, but we can leave it alone, right? Well, no, let's make it a little more realistic. Let's make it like save, and we could say something like validate. Ooh, I don't want to get too deep here. Let's just say validate comment. This is probably going to explode because comment's not backed by a model. And then we'll just redirect to like author.show or post.show. Post ID, I think. Is it with? I think it's with. I always forget. I think it's that. Whatever, let's see if this blows up, right? I'm just trying to write like a real world Livewire YAML bit here. I think this is kind of what we said we were going to do. I'd have to go back and watch the stream. But the point is we want to mount something. We treat mount like any other method. We just end up kind of putting it at the top. I think our parser's built actually. Where is... Let's go look at our Lexer actually. Let's go look at our Livewire. Do we have it? Nope. Do we have a Lexer? Component Lexer is what we call it. We didn't call it Livewire. Let's look at the test for this. That'll kind of guide us to what we used to have. Yeah, there we go. Mount user dashboard URL. Okay, validate user profile updated with user redirect to dashboard URL. Okay. That's actually kind of like a pretty nice... Let's use this. This is actually a pretty nice definition. So let's just take this instead of kind of like making all of our own craziness. All right, let's get rid of all this array syntax. So we're going to say update profile. It's going to get mount. Whoops, sorry, mount. Oh my goodness, please learn to type. And let's get rid of all these things. See you later. And that. Wow, I still didn't get it right. There we go. Okay, I'm there now. Thank you. Let's get rid of those. And then let's get this to be called update. And then let's get these to just be colons and tab that in. Okay, I think this is legitimate YAML. Whoops. Did I sort this? I did not. That looks more legitimate YAML. Okay, so we have components. We have an update profile component. We're going to mount user and this dashboard URL. There's going to be a custom update action, which is going to validate the user. Again, that could explode. I don't know. We're going to dispatch some profile updated job with the user. And then, do we want to dispatch or fire? Are we dispatching a job? I think that should be fire. We're firing an event that the profile was updated with the specific user, and then we're going to redirect to whatever the dashboard URL that was passed in. So let's see if all this wires up really nicely and, of course, generates this event as well. That would kind of prove that all that's, you know, going along as we speak. So, or going along nicely, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Okay, so let's run this again. Of course, we expect it to explode because none of these things exist. So let's make some of these files. Let's close that. Let's get this test organized a little better. Okay, it's going to generate app Livewire property component. That's not true. It's going to generate update. What is it going to generate here? It's going to generate, what do we call that? Let's bring this back up. I closed it too quickly. It's going to generate update profile. Update profile is what it's going to generate. Or at least that's what we care about. Components with properties.php. It's going to make that. It's going to make this. Oh, these are all the files it's going to generate. Okay, good, good, good. Okay, so it's also going to generate an app events profile updated.php. It's going to generate that as well. And then it's going to generate all those. And then finally, for this particular thing, what we care about is that it generates this particular components with properties. So I think this, what will this be? This is going to be updated, or update profile is going to be the default template that it generates. And then we need to make this. So let's, whoops, I'm hearing some chat. Give me just a second here. Fixtures. Okay, let's try to run this again. Okay, that's a little bit better. It didn't generate with component property. Okay, so what's it complaining about here? Here's what it output. It output update, extends profile. It output the render, Livewire update profile, good. Update profile, it brought in the event, so it dispatches that event with the user, that's good. And then it redirects to quote dashboard URL. That's not ideal. I don't know if that's readily fixable. That's kind of deep code stuff. I wonder how you would have to know that that was a variable. That's interesting. Yeah, it's not really redirect to route. Yeah, Livewire would have to know, really Blueprint would have to know that the thing you're saying redirect to is a property. That might be a Livewire specific thing, I don't know. Yeah, that's going to be a tough one. I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole today. Let's focus on mount. Let's focus on mount. Let's focus on mounting these properties. I think that's going to be the big thing today. What's going on in the chat here? Hey everybody, how's it going? Hey Bernard. Did I ever stream a Laravel 4 upgrade shift? I've streamed a lot of upgrading Laravel. I'm sure if you just kind of search my YouTube channel, you'll find demonstrations of me upgrading old apps. I don't know if I've done one explicitly from 4, But on the Shift website, there's a videos section down in the footer, and there's one for upgrading old Laravel applications. So if you kind of want to see like a condensed version of me using Shift to upgrade old Laravel applications, I would check that out. So, okay, cool. Hey, Kane, what's going on? Daniel, is this official support for Livewire generation and Blueprint? Yes. That's what we're working on. Yes, we are trying to generate Livewire components with Blueprint, and therefore the ability to use all of what's already available, all of the syntax, all the statements that are available within Blueprint to perform that generation. So, yeah, we just need to kind of give it that component wrapper that you would get if you did, make Livewire. Okay. So this is what's being output currently. This is pretty good. We're missing mount. So again, let's focus on mount today. I'm not going to focus on this. That's kind of a rabbit hole of getting that to be kind of self-aware to know that dashboard URL was a mounted property on this particular component. So that might just be kind of a Livewire feature, because typically you would. In other things that you generate with Blueprint, like a controller, you're not going to mount some property. That's why it's always assuming that's a route name. But within Livewire, I could see that you may want to reference. There's a lot of statements where you actually may want to reference something. So we may not want to make that assumption. So again, that's kind of like the Livewire specific stuff that kind of I want to build after. But let's try to get it actually generating the component correctly. So if we go to components with properties, I don't know what components. Oh, okay. Sorry. What is this file? Why is this floating in here? Am I crazy? Yeah, that shouldn't generate that. This is what it should generate. It should generate the component itself underneath here. It should generate the profile updated event, and it should generate this particular blade file. And then its comparison should be this, which has nothing in it right now. So let's open this up and we can let's steal this as a base and fill in kind of what we're missing. So let's take that and let's get rid of all of these annoyances. Let's replace all of those. Cool. And then what we really would like to see is like public function mount. Do they typically make these void? I think they typically make those void. And then we would assign the stuff that we said. So in this case, we would assign dashboard URL is equal to dashboard URL. This would come in as dashboard URL, and this would come in as, I think we said post. I don't remember. Did we pass in a user? What do we do here? Bring this back up. We pass in a user for some reason. Okay, that's fine. I don't know why it's always not just the current user, but again, we're doing stuff here. We're doing stuff. Okay, let's just bring this into play. Copy this as user, and then now we would also have the generation of the specific code. And then because you're mounting these, I think by default it would be good to throw in that locked bit here. Come on, GitHub, take it easy. Okay, and then we're not gonna assume that it's a string, but we will assume that because these are mounted properties, they should be locked. They should not be editable in the request. So did I do that wrong? Is this hash on the outside? I always forget. Yes, it's hash on the outside. Sorry about that. Okay, and then we need to import this. That's not going to be importable. Oh, what is that called? I don't know exactly where Livewire stores that. I need to get the import here as the point. So, it's going to be like somewhere deep in there. Do I want to fire up Chrome? I don't know if I want to fire up Chrome for all that. We'll get that here in a minute. For now, I'll just call it like Livewire attributes locked or something like that. Again, it's probably not the right place But let's just do that. Okay, cool. Let's see if when we run this now, we get some slightly nicer code generation. Okay, so update profile blade. So something's wrong. Oh, those just don't match. It didn't actually generate profile updated. So again, I'm not gonna go down those rabbit holes right now. The rabbit hole I wanna go down is to start to see the properties being generated. So let's go take a look at how that happens. If we get into here, we have this component. Let's go look at the component because again, I forgot all this stuff. We have properties. We have this namespace, fully qualified namespace. We have methods, method, properties, properties. Now, do we inject, if I get the methods, clearly if I get the methods, we don't do anything in here like inject a mount, right? So because of that, we have a couple things we need to do here. First, if we have properties, let's start replacing them, right? So let's do this. Let's do replace body should probably be more than just build methods. I think let's introduce a new method called build body with the component. Let's add this method. This is going to return a string. And what we ultimately need to do here is, yeah, kind of do this, right? We would say build properties. We don't have that right now. That's fine. We can start adding that. I think this one's going to be the easy one. We can basically say here, we're probably going to need to track these separately. So we're probably going to need to say like properties. I wish I could type today. That would be awesome. And let's say methods. It's a little bit ugly, but for now we can do like a trimmed version of this. I don't know. I don't think we want to trim it. We're going to have to do some checking there. Like, hey, if there are no properties, then, you know, don't even bother. We'll come back there. Let's return a string here as noted. And then here we can just say if empty, or well, we don't even need empty. We just need like a for each on properties as property. We don't want to import anything. Well, we do. We would want to import something yet. We would add the import for our Livewire attributes lock. Now again, that's not the right path, but at least it will be consistent. Okay, so we're adding it. Model. Oh, a component. A component is a model. Okay, fair enough. And then here, for now, we'll return, let's just return empty string for now. So what we have here is properties. This is really just an accumulation kind of class or method. So we'll say properties, and it's as simple as outputting the stub. Do I want a stub? What do we do in build methods? Yeah, we pull in a stub. We do the methods. We do the accumulation. Do I want a bunch of that noise? Let's just get it working for now, right? Let's just get it working for now. I think what I'm going to do now is just say properties dot equals, what's the here doc? Can you do that? Yeah. Let's bring in locked. Let's bring in public underscore $ property name. Yes, this is what we want to do. Okay, thank you. See, it got it right. So this is what we would import. And then we would need a line break. Yes. Yes. You would need an additional line break for what's below it. Yeah, I think this is good. This is good. Let's see what happens here. So let's see if we get some more stuff being output. We do not. Oh, because we're not actually returning anything in our body replacement. Yes, yes, yes. So build body. No, build body should return properties. It's not going to be pretty, but it should return properties. So do we have properties? Let's dump component. If we don't have properties, then there must be something higher up that I didn't finish. Yeah, it's an empty array. That's strange. I thought we demonstrated that we built... this up in the lexer. Let's go back to our lexer. Component lexer test. Where's our little test where we mount stuff? There it is. Okay, we mount stuff. We say components to, properties to, user dashboard. There should be properties in properties. We've confirmed that when we mount, they should be getting passed in. So why? Oh, simple components, sorry. Oh, sorry. The wrong test is blowing up now because of the indentation. Okay, that's my bad. Let's dial that in a bit. When we build body, we wouldn't just blindly put in properties and a new line. So I think for now, the fastest thing we can do here is do like an L trim on that. I think that should get us farther down the road. Okay, public render. Oh, it's always going to put locked in there. So we don't want to do that. So in build properties, we now have to say like if empty component properties. Yeah, it's a bit ugly, but that should get us farther. Just trying to get it to work. Let's just get it to work. Okay, here we go. User. Okay, good. So that was working. I was just looking at the wrong error. What is it actually outputting? Generates tree. Call to member function name on string. Oh yes, these don't. It's just the property. That's all fine. Okay, cool. Okay, good. We're generating locked public user, locked public dashboard URL now. They're not in the order that we expect. We actually sorted them in our output. So, how crazy do we want to get here? Do we want to sort them when we render them, or do we want to sort them before this thing returns? That's kind of a display thing, so I think I'm going to sort it here. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to just var this off into properties. We're going to fix all this. Let's var this into properties. We'll say if empty properties, then we would just return an empty string. There's nothing to generate. Don't waste any time. Otherwise, we're going to ksort properties, and then we're going to loop over properties. And we're going to, I think we call this output in a lot of places, so I'm just going to call that output. And we're no longer going to loop over those directly. We're going to loop over that. I don't know why it's not preserving. I guess you would need 2 line breaks here, technically speaking. Okay, there we go. Cool. Yeah, dashboard URL, locked, public user. Okay, good. So we have 2 line breaks. That's okay. That's not where we're trying to fix this. Where we're trying to fix this now, we could like store these in an array and then implode them down here. But again, I don't think that that's necessary. I think what we should probably do, methods will never be empty. So what we could say is that if properties, or if properties is empty, we would just straight return methods. Let's see if that gets us farther down the road. Yeah, the first test isn't failing, so that's good. We didn't affect it, so that's a good bit. Now the problem is this, we still have this like weird, crazy line break stuff happening, so we don't want to do that. So we really would get rid of this, and I think we would have to indent methods. I think that's part of the problem. We would no longer L trim. We would return the combination of the two. What does this look like? Yeah, see, we got the line break handled now. That's good. But now we have kind of an indentation problem because this is pre-indented. So how could we fix that? This one's pre-indented and this one's not? What do we do with build methods? Do we R-trim this? I think we do. Yeah, we trim it. We trim it because we know. So we no longer want to trim this. We no longer want to trim that. We need to trim in body, I think, is what we would do. Yeah, because we've now added this kind of pre-encapsulated method to encapsulate what's underneath, we would need to trim the result that we return. So again, I'm going to clean this code up later, but I'm just trying to get it to pass, and then let's add the mount property, and I think that's going to be good. Or let's add the mount method, and I think that's going to be good enough for today. Okay, we're back to passing. The first one anyway. We still have, okay, our indentation looks good. The problem now is that we have a duplicate line bit there. But we know how to solve that because properties comes with, yeah, properties comes with a line break built into it. So what you kind of have to do, if you really wanted to get that right, just real quick, what you kind of have to do is you have to, you kind of have to, like, if you know you have properties, you have to R-trim properties and L-trim methods, or well, and not trim methods at all, or R-trim each actually is what you have to do, I think. Let's see what that looks like, and then I'm not messing with it anymore. Yeah, so you'd have to trim properties because you don't want the indent and you don't want the closing line break, but you only R-trim methods because that's going to give you the line break between them as well as the indent. So let's see if that is what I expected. Yeah, see, now you don't have an indent, which means you have to add one. And I think we have a constant for that. So this looks correct. Again, that's a little ugly, and I don't think that matches what other generators are doing. So I'm not going to spend any more time on that. I think what I want to focus on now is build methods, because if what we need to do is say, if you have properties, we need to kind of auto build you. Yeah, we need to kind of auto build you this public mount method with a specific body, right? That's where things probably get a little bit interesting. So we have to say, like, if component properties methods, dot equals, yeah, it's not just mount, it's more than that. Name and template. Where's template? Oh, yeah, okay. So we replace it with mount. Do we waste time passing down a template? I think we say this build mount method. Again, not the most awesome, but, and what this is going to take are the properties. It's going to take the properties and the template, and it's going to return a string. So let's keep going deeper down the rabbit hole. So this is an array of properties. This is a string for the method template. So we'll just say template. And what we're going to do we add type hints to everything else? We do. Okay, let's go ahead and add type hints for the view. We'll see if that, or for the mount method. So let's do this. What we're going to do is we need to replace arguments or parameters, I guess is the right terminology there. So we replace parameters, add void return type, yep. And then we need to, yep, thank you. Okay, write the code for me. So let's return body, I guess, or output is what we've been calling it, right? Output. Okay, so really we just use template. So how can we make this happen? Template, the parameters, we need to case sort. It's starting to make me feel like we should just sort this elsewhere, but let's case sort properties. And then we would basically map those, like map implode those as $ comma separated values, right? Can we do that in a faster way? No, I think we're gonna have to map them. So we'll basically say parameters equals array map of fn name, and it's really just going to return that on properties, and then we would implode that with comma separated bit there. Oh, that was the wrong order of arguments. So let's comma separate that. This stuff is tedious. It is not fun, but it gives you all that super powerful code generation. So why is this system audio? I'm assuming we can still hear me. Oh, I think my AirPods crapped out. I think that's why. That's okay. Guess I don't need those on anymore. All right, let's try to finish this part. Okay, so we implode the parameters, comma separated parameters. We need to put those and then add the void. So what we could do is str replace. We would basically replace mount that with mount this. How hardcore do I want to make this? I think let's replace mount with signature. And let's start calling this output. And here we'll pre-build signature. Yeah. No, signature. It was writing it for me. Come on. There we go. That's pretty dense. Let's do an sprint f on mount %s colon void, right? And I don't mind one-lining the rest of this, but the rest of that looks pretty freaking gross. All right, and let's not do that. That feels acceptable. I'm not gonna say awesome, but it's acceptable. Okay, let's get rid of that line. We replaced parameters, we added void. Now we need to replace body with the accumulation of the properties being assigned to something. So let's do that. Yes, body is equal to, we could do the same mapping, to be honest, and then implode them with a new line. That's not really the way we've been doing it with other stuff, but we could do it that way. Let's do it that way. Why not? So let's do the same thing. Let's just do an array map of an implode, and then instead we would map it with a new line, and then we would just string replace that in body, right? So let's do that. Let's bring this to life. This will be output. We don't want to overwrite what we've done. This will be body. And I think those were in, is it body? Is it space body? I always forget. I think it's space body. Let's see if there's other stuff in here. str replace, yeah, there we go. Replace body. If not empty body, replace body with that. Okay, cool. Yeah, so this is what we do in the method. In the build methods, we're building mount specifically. So we're adding the type in, we're putting in the properties. Now we need to say this arrow name, this is a bit ugly. This is going to be longer than the others that we've been doing, equals name. So it's a bit longer, but basically we're assigning the property name to the argument that was passed in to mount. So here we handle the parameters, we output that. Here we handle the body, we output that. And then same thing, this is already pre-indented. The rest need to be indented, so we have to do like that, I think. We could technically implode all of them with an indent. I'll just have to see how we're doing it. I mean, again, all this output, I think there are helper methods for it that make it a little easier to work with. Right now, we're kind of just like pecking at strings, which is really lame. But same thing, same trick we did before. We can L trim this because that won't implode an extra new line there. I mean, really, we can just trim it like it doesn't matter. Let's see what this looks like. Okay, our indent levels are off because, again, we're not indenting it as far as we need to. So 4 is just the method level indent. 8 would be the actual body indent. I think I just did 6. What did I do here? I only did 6. 8. There we go. All right, let's see what this looks like. Okay, so minus the line breaks between the public mount method, which again, I think is just how we're appending it up top. We need to just automatically always include a line break. But this is good. They're sorted. It's the expected output of what we have. I think if we got this line break right, if we just kind of mirrored this off of the other methods. So I think when we make an actual method, if we go down here, stream replace body, I think when we append it, yeah, we always append a new line. So we have to kind of honor that in our build mount method here. I think that should get us a bit farther. So if we look at this, now this is failing because we're not generating other stuff, but it's not failing because that wasn't expected anymore. Now I don't know which one's higher up, but the point is let's kind of end the stream here. Let's say, does this match what's being currently outputted, right? So does this match this? I think it will, maybe minus some of those imports. So let's just see. Let's take this. Let's just do our own comparison. Let's do a pb paste into example.php. I'm going to open example PHP. Let's do the same replacement on that /n everywhere. All right, that should be valid PHP code. We can do php-l just to make sure on example. Okay, we've got a syntax error on this. What am I calling? Oh, okay, so I'm forgetting semicolons, and I actually don't need, or I do need this. I'm forgetting the semicolons. So let's just throw these in here. We can fix that. This is actually also going to have to be referenced as this user. See, all of the statements for a component are actually going to need to be slightly tweaked, because if we reference anything, it's not just going to be in that method scope. It's actually mounted as a property. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to have to keep track of those when we're building up statements. Okay, so this should no longer have any syntax errors. For now, let's just compare. Let's do a diff on this against example. Okay, so the only difference is a line difference on the component of where it is. So, and that's because these are actually out of order, so let's fix that. Now we diff and there's no diff. So this works except for that semicolon. So let's fix that real quick before I forget about it. This needs to have a dot semicolon on it. And I think now, when we ran our test, the code that's being generated with semicolons, we know from our own little diff matches. So we're generating Livewire components with mounted properties now that are locked by default. I need to get the right import statement. But this is good. We're moving down the line. I think the next issue now is, for some reason, this event is not being generated. Now, I don't know if I just need to stub something out there or what, but I'll take a look at that. I think that's probably more test setup related, but the actual code being generated from a blueprint perspective is accurate. It's not accurate from a ready-to-use real-world bit, so we will need to fix that. And what I mean by that is as we see here in these statements, I think this is what we need to tackle next. These statements probably need to start to be aware, are they referencing a variable that is a property? And if they are, of course, they need to have, this in front of them. So for example, when this event is dispatched, is one of the properties that's with a property of the component? If so, then prefix it with this. Same thing with like a redirect statement here we see. If you're redirecting to a variable, then you're going to need to, redirect to URL or something like that, right? It's going to assume that that's a fully qualified URL to be redirected to. So I think we've made some progress today, but we've also seen that, this is pretty dense code to generate stuff. But the beauty is that it's kind of a one-time pain. Like, I'm writing this, but once it's done, any Laravel developer, any Livewire developer is going to be able to generate all of this code from, very small, where was that component? YAML. I mean, just with this, you can generate everything we just saw, right? Like, it's going to generate that whole component, dump it out, set up other event classes, set up form validation objects eventually. So, that, in my opinion, that's worth it. So yeah, a little bit annoying to get all these spaces and this code generation like output, but once it's done, it's done. So it's kind of a one-time pain. So anyway, let's continue on this next week. I think that's pretty good for me. I like to keep these under an hour. I like to keep them under 30 minutes, but it's been a while since I streamed. So anyway, see everybody next week.